Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the latest Seer showcase. I'm very kindly joined here by Koen from AXtensions. Koen, how are you?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing good. Thank you. Looking forward
Good,
to
good.
this session.
Absolutely, we're looking forward to having you in right before the summer holidays as well. So you've come in at the
Exactly,
perfect
exactly.
timing.
That's true.
But obviously, I'm not going to steal your thunder today. Give you a quick intro because I want to make sure that everyone knows who you are. So thank you very much for joining us. But I understand today you're going to talk a little bit about how your solution's a bit of an essential ingredient for Dynamics F&O implementations. And obviously, we
Exactly.
want to know
Yeah,
a little bit about the journey and the optimization that you bring to the table as well for all of our partners out there.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. So
Absolutely,
really
brilliant.
focusing on how we, as AXtension, indeed create solutions on top of Dynamics, which is ERP is already a very comprehensive solution, but where's the added value of an ISV on top of that? Yeah.
Look forward to giving us all that information then. But I mean, I understand you've been around since about 2007, and you've been in a lot of implementations, as we know, within the
Yeah.
industry. We have worked with you broadly for a
Yeah.
long time, so we know what you're talking about, and we can't wait to see it on screen in a second. So what
Yeah.
I'll do is I won't take up any more airspace for me personally because this is all about you. I'm going to hand over and let you talk us through your solutions.
Great. Well, thanks a lot for the introduction, Dan. It's definitely a great opportunity to present the solution and to work together with the Seer team, of course. A quick introduction on AXtension in general. I think that's good. AXtension started in 2007 as well, creating add-on solutions for Microsoft Dynamics. And we just noticed that there were quite a few challenges that were quite common with a lot of organizations working with Dynamics, a lot of potential enhancements. And that's where AXtension started creating and developing and selling solutions across the globe via our partner channel. To make sure we can help all of these organizations instead of just the local companies that we used to work with before that time. Yeah, and from that perspective, if you look at the industry right now, it's a journey for everyone, right? So we've got a lot of challenges coming at us, both expected challenges that we see, like GDPR compliance, things we can just anticipate. Technology changes, political changes, things happening, and we've got quite a few unexpected challenges that come at us as an organization. So when we're working with Dynamics or we're deciding to work with Dynamics, we want to make sure that we help organizations in analyzing all of the data, because an overload of data is introducing complexity, whereas, missing information creates a lot of uncertainty. So we want to make sure we get accurate data, accurate information that help organizations steer and stay on top of their game, keeping all of the employees engaged and happy, but also increasing financial insight information, allowing organizations to be more effective using the Dynamics application set. So it's a great thing of being part of the Seer tool as well, is that you ask all of these questions like, what do you need? How can you anticipate? What do you expect of a future system? But also during the implementation, understanding what information do you need to steer your organization on. So for us, it's really important that we've been part of all of those implementations. We've got the experience in certain business process loads, and therefore we also know how to interpret the data. We understand how to transform that into information, to knowledge, to insights. And I think Dynamics is pretty good at those steps as well. Where it really is a differentiation compared to standard ERP systems in general, is where you translate and where you're connecting dots that you would typically not connect if you would have an ERP system. And that's where the wisdom comes into play. And based on that information and having those different connections between your data, that's where you can make the impact. And that's exactly where AXtension comes into play. To take all of that data, that overload, which might be really confusing at sometimes and increase complexity. Because most of the data that's being created today is, in 2021, it was actually the case that 90% of the data was created in the past 2 years. Of course, this it keeps on growing, and being able to make decisions and to steer your organization based on insights and make sure that all of the fog that's surrounding your organization goes away so you can make clever decisions. That's what we want to help doing. And we believe that we can do that by introducing 3 main promises from the AXtension products that we bring on top of ERP, right? So first of all, management by exception is making sure that you don't need to focus on all of that information, but that the system already lets you know, well, these are the records that are at risk. These projects are expected to get a budget overrun. These purchase orders are expecting to be delayed and have impact on your manufacturing. These resources are overloaded or expecting downtime on a machine, and how can we anticipate on that downtime? So making sure that the system points out the challenges that you're expecting is something that we value very highly. Secondly is the actionable insight. So as soon as the system identifies that something could go wrong, is giving you the tools and all the abilities to take corrective actions. So understanding the root cause, allowing the intuition of the employee, the data that we have available, and the experience to lead to an ultimate solution, which you can instantly initiate. So therefore, when you have that queue of work that needs your attention, is that you can create instant action to solve and resolve that queue of work, and making you feel in total control again, so you can focus on the real primary business process instead of eliminating those challenges that are interrupting your business process. And the third one is collaboration, where we don't just talk about collaboration externally with suppliers, with subcontractors, with customers, but we also focus on collaboration between people and between teams in an organization. And just to give you a very clear example, there is if we have data available, like I'm going to process a purchase order, then as an AP clerk, I need information about that purchase order, about the receipts, about the cost centers that it needs to be coded to. But that's my demand of information. Whereas the project manager, he needs to see, well, what do I already have committed as cost on purchase orders? What has been invoiced right now? Did we anticipate those costs to be there, yes or no? But we're looking at that same data, but from a completely different angle. We need to be able to compare that information to the budget instead of comparing it to a purchase order or things that we have procured. And these processes can be, well, you can put them onto an entire organization, and everybody will look at that same single source of truth, but with a different need in how we can act and react on that information. So that's what we also mean with collaboration without boundaries, is making sure that when we have a solution that is embedded at the heart of the ERP, everybody is acting and reacting to that. So we also understand that this is not a single step. This journey is a continuous journey. And the nice thing with a journey is, and I'm going to Spain in 2 days, it's quite of a journey. And every time you drive a certain mileage or a number of kilometers, then you just know that your horizon will change. So I can see my current horizon, and as soon as we get at that horizon, I can see the next one. And the same is with the project of optimization and implementing dynamics, right? So when you have that first horizon, you're going to do that big project of implementing a new ERP system, where you would like to have somebody that can guide you with the best practices, with industry experience, and making sure that you create that single source of truth. But as soon as you get there, you can already identify the second horizon, which is your continuous optimization journey. But how do you start that journey without having valuable insights? Like, what are my bottlenecks? Where is my biggest gain? If I would reduce this bottleneck, it would save me days of labor to make sure that we can spend that time in different areas in the organization. And that's a continuous journey. So you will move your horizon, you will keep going. And we think, especially within the cloud industry right now, it should be much easier to just take this project step by step, instead of taking one big blow at once. And it also requires a different approach. It requires less risk potentially on the project, but it also requires a totally different approach. It would be a collaboration from start to finish with a partner that's implementing. You really become a true partnership, whereas you keep on collaborating, you keep on delivering your services, but you try to make it more scalable because you have all this best practice experience. So why not guide and steer the customer that you're working with towards a solid solution? And when we look at that journey, then AXtension is an ingredient into that journey, right? So you've got the big Dynamics Microsoft landscape, the platform with all of the tools and capabilities that you can apply, where you've got the global system integrators that have the ability to implement a full Microsoft solution. But part of that solution exists out of Azure, Power Platform, Teams, Dynamics 365. But then within that industry component area, we just know that there are some challenges that Dynamics cannot solve out of the box or still require enhancements, where you might use other ISV solutions for renting, for servicing, for whatever you have. And there you also have AXtension as a solution portfolio that truly enhances it. So it exists out of the AXtension planning and control solution, really helping optimizing your projects, your manufacturing, and your cost. And you've got your foundational ingredients, which are more horizontal type of solutions that really help any organization on the accounts payable automation, on the shipment orchestration, and on the content document management part of the solution. And you can pick and choose those ingredients as you see fit. So they are built up out of smaller jigsaw pieces. These jigsaw pieces can really help in solving certain challenges in your organization. Like your project management, project budget management, content management, the accounts payable automation. But depending on the industry, coming back to that in a minute, depending on the industry, you might just pick and choose whatever you need. You could say, no, I'm leaving this for the second horizon, or I'm leaving this for the third horizon, or we see this as a future optimization. So whenever you're running already for years on Dynamics, there are still huge parts to gain. And I will address that part later on in the session. And that's what we at AXtension are doing. So we are making sure that we creating pieces that you can pick fit for purpose to solve your primary business challenges, but also allow you in future state to say, well, we skipped that in the first part, but maybe we can do it in the future. So to go a little bit more in depth right now in the solutions, is the first one is AXtension planning and control for discrete and process manufacturing. And these organizations are very, very hard to convince to invest money in ERP systems because they rather buy a new machine. Because new machine means more products, means quicker things, they can earn more money. But the thing is, with ERP systems and with a solid planning in place, we can actually optimize the efficiency of the existing resources. So without increasing the cost, we can still run more items, increase the organization's efficiency, but also being able to more deliver in time, have less inventory. And those challenges are the challenges that we identify at AXtension and make sure that our solution creates all of the insights that you need to make those decisions at the split second you need to make them. So if I'm working on my production planning, I need to know when did we promise these items to be delivered, when do I expect more raw materials, and do I have sufficient capacity? And with those insights, we can, at that moment, make a decision. Well, I've got 2 days slack, so I can move this a little bit into the future, and then I can prioritize a different order, and the decision is made. So it's about making sure we can put these organizations into control. And whenever you include this solution to your proposition, you can build a very strong business case in investing in ERP instead of a new machine. Secondly, we've got AXtension planning control for project-based manufacturing, which has a totally different approach. It sounds primarily like the same thing, but a project-based manufacturing in most scenarios create fixed price estimations. They sell a project based on their experience, based on what they are good at. But they still need to do the engineering, run the project. And the number one challenge for those organizations is scope creep and margin erosion. Because every penny that we spent that wasn't part of the original budget is instant margin consumption. So how do we know exactly, how do we anticipate to complete this project? What did we estimate to spend? What have we actually spent? What is the progress realized? What do we forecast to spend? And why have we spent this money? And how can we get the project back in control by either offering a change order or a variation request to the project and make sure we get paid for everything we do on that project, or at least identify it so we can start the discussion before we're at the end of the project and there's no room for discussion anymore. So creating this level of proactivity is very important in these type of organizations. And for those project-based manufacturing, we've got two major differences. So you've got the industrial equipment manufacturing type of customers, which really need to engineer the solution that are selling to commercial businesses. But you also have a lot of government contracting organizations. And those have different requirements, different challenges that we can also solve with the solution. And the third one for planning and control is the professional service industry, where I can be very clear. We focus on the supply chain intensive professional service organization. So really where there needs to be integration with procurement, with supply, with shipments, with inventory movements, just to make sure we can control those projects, but we also maximize the utilization of our resource. Because in these type of organizations, billability is the number one thing that we want to get up as high as possible, just to make sure we can pay for all the costs that we're having, which are very constant, whereas typically revenue might be kind of changing throughout time. So being able to anticipate on pipeline and on projects that are ongoing are very important. And that's what our solution is solving. For the accounts payable automation, in the end, it sounds like a very straightforward process, and it is. Invoice does match, or it doesn't match to what I've procured. So we're procuring items or services, but you've got these scenarios where you do receive some of the items, you do not receive the others because they need to be two-way matched. It's a service that you don't receive. How can we do that mixed mode matching, and how can we automate that process? If I have an invoice coming in that we didn't purchase via a purchase order, but it's kind of like this non-PO process, how do I need to code the invoice? Did I anticipate this invoice? Can we automate that process? So we really focus in making sure that we eliminate all the manual steps that we can eliminate, but also identifying, and this is where we make a true difference, is identifying constantly the bottleneck in this process. Because AP automation is not something that you do once. Because the next time you get a new vendor, and that vendor sends invoices that only match at 50% rate, well, let's try to get them at 60%. Let's try to get them at 70%. And then the next vendor will show up as a bottleneck, which has a 30% initial match rate of invoices. Why is that? How can we resolve it? So there are all these challenges in the organization that we can constantly focus on, and it shouldn't be just a one-time thing. It should be a constant set of improvements. Ultimately, trying to lead to an UTP of having a full 100% automated process. But, well, we all know that approval would still be required, and corrective actions or credit notes or those kind of scenarios. Okay. And then we have the AXtension content gate solution, where every business organization, even within AXtension, is working with content that is not stored in an ERP system. Documents that we are creating, new bits, quotations, quality reports. We have contracts in place. We've got invoices that we're receiving, and making sure that we have that information available throughout our business process. So not just at the moment that they are created, but also throughout the entire chain of the process, is something that we think is very important. And just to give you an example, if we are delivering a new solution, a new manufactured item to a customer, as soon as field service goes over to that customer, they need to be able to see what we delivered, what we designed. They need to know the certificates belonging to the materials that are procured from a vendor. They need to have a lot of information available without us providing it individually. And because we have that relational database available, we know for what management asset that we have, or what field service asset, what has been put into it, and what certificate belonged to that raw material, and what quality report belonged to the production order that created that item. So we all have that available, and we can bring it to you. And in the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years, we did something that I think is essential within this process, is making this content mandatory in a business process to continue. So we can block business processes from continuing if we do not have an NDA signed with the customer, if we do not have a customer form being filled in, if we do not have a quality report linked to a quality order, we cannot complete the quality order. And these are just a few examples where we could say, well, and you can determine your own processes, where you say, well, on this project milestone, I need to have a sign-off from the customer before we can send the invoice. And by making content essential and also critical to your business process, it is no longer a nice to have. It is a should have and even must have, to make sure that you prevent mistakes from happening, because a dispute on an invoice is taking you much more time and much more effort on the organization than just making sure you had that official sign-off from the customer beforehand. And then the last bit that we have to offer is AXtension shipper control. And shipper control is a process that we that we are still designing and fine-tuning as well based on the experiences that we get from the market. If you look at ERP, ERP has abilities to transfer materials from location A to B, which is perfect. The thing is that we want to be able to be more efficient and effective and more first time right with all of our shipments. And the only way we can do that is starting the process far ahead of time. So far ahead of when we start picking and packing the materials, we need to be able to say, well, we're going to consolidate all of the deliveries in a certain period into a shipment to be more effective. We need to be able to identify how we are going to ship it. Like, let's put these items in a box on a pallet this will be the weight. And why is that important? Is to make sure that we can also get and request all of the documentation that might be needed for exporting. So getting the custom clearances arranged, making sure that we have all the export documentation, that at the moment that we need to start shipping, that we're already ready, that we have everything that we need to have to get the materials from location A to B. And this is both from a more project-driven approach, where you still need to do engineering, you still need to do things, but you need to make sure that that item that you're still engineering is allowed to be imported into Argentina or into China or wherever you're shipping to. And that's exactly what shipping control is doing. So it's the orchestration of the entire shipment with the addition of integrated shipment bookings with carrier integrations. So you can straight away book that shipment with DPD, FedEx, and depending, of course, on the country that you live in, there is integration to the Nshift platform with Nshift Transmart and Nshift Delivery, just to make sure you get those materials and the track and trace code information and the sign off from the customer all embedded into your process. So, like I said, the jigsaw pieces that you can pick and choose can be different by type of industry or type of customer that you're approaching. So if you're going into the discrete and process manufacturing, you could pick the shipping integrations. You can pick accounts payable because those are horizontal. Content management is applicable to any organization. And you can use the production optimization from planning and control. If you would go into project-based manufacturing, your set of items or a set of solutions that will really build a very strong business case might be entirely different. And again, here, if you say, well, we're going to focus first only on the finance or first on the projects or first on, you don't have to pick everything at once. And the same goes for professional service. And we've got more of these examples. But just to get that level of understanding that when we are supporting a business process and you are working on a new quote or estimate, or you're implementing Dynamics yourself, is understanding what does our business process look like and how can AXtension really add value into those business processes. So from the customer demand, we can link all the documents, all the quotes, all the emails to my system of record and make sure we do a risk analysis. We do a feasibility study, and we link that information already to the demand of the customer. Sales starts creating the quotes and estimates and creating a first initial draft lump sum planning to check feasibility if we schedule backwards from delivery, link the documents. The project estimator is going to calculate all the production cost on the project and plan it via project management. And I think it takes too much time to go through everything, but just I think it creates the understanding of what it is that we want to bring to the table whenever we are providing solutions to a customer. And like I said, it's a journey of continuous optimization. So every customer has their own journey, has their own path ahead with their own priorities. And in this example, priority one would be accounts payable and then carry integration. And then in the end, we also want to have content management available. But this could be different to any customer. And this could also be a way to engage for future engagement with any customer and make sure you maximize their return on investment because they're already investing in Dynamics. And with these enhancements, that investment gets more value and delivers more future-proof state solution. And for a customer that is on that journey by themselves, it's quite a challenging path. The ERP replacement is already an impactful journey. You don't really know what that future ahead looks like, and you see all these challenges. You see a mountain with ice. You see a forest that you need to go through. You need to climb a wall that you can't climb. And that's where we believe that the partnership between AXtension and our partners really comes into play because we've got the experience with climbing that mountain. We know how to go through that forest and we know how to climb that hill. So we can implement those best practices. We've got the experience. We've got out-of-the-box solutions that will be maintained. and you can start collaborating. And that's what we want to bring with that journey. So challenges, we want to be agile. We want to be able to understand the data in an organization, and we want to take it to a next level and drive that continuous improvement journey with the AXtension solutions. And that's what I wanted to share in today's session.
Absolutely, that's been fantastic. So, I mean, a question from myself then. You talk about this agile and these incremental sort of gains that you get from taking each individual part of the jigsaw, and you talk about this journey. If I wanted to go from 0 to 100, so I sort of wanted to really sort of ramp up and go on that journey, how long's a piece of string, but indicatively, how long would that journey last me?
Yeah, and if we look at the AXtension solutions, the nice thing, and it's a very good question, is the AXtension solutions are truly built inside and on top of Dynamics 365. So we use all the data available. If we talk about production planning, for instance, if you install it, it works out of the box without any manual effort. Same goes for project planning. It works out of the box. Of course, the thing is, and that's with change, you need to bring a solution to the organization, but you also need to bring the organization to the solution. And that second step is something that we think is very often forgotten. So the run-through time is more about how we will utilize all of these capabilities, how we will make sure that the organization gets the best out of what we get available. And instead of doing the things the way you used to do, is taking that best practice, looking at how that solution has been built based on all of the experience from the other customers that are working with it, and how can we make sure that works for us in a way. So for production planning is really understanding what would my steps look like, how am I going to optimize. So if you look technically at the solution, getting it in place is a matter of for all of the solutions, it's a matter of a few months. It is, I think, in general, the way that you're going to implement it and the change management, and making sure you get the people involved and engaged in the change to the organization.
Yeah. Bringing everyone with you on that journey to make sure you kind of achieve that value.
I'm sorry, I didn't get you there. Sorry.
Not to worry. I was just talking about getting that early value and bringing the change and everyone on that journey with you. But to be honest, you've answered my question perfectly there. Actually, it's a lot about the change management of the people, but the actual functionality can be almost instant, which is what you want.
It is. And the thing is, we don't reinvent business process, right? They're already there. We just offer better tools to do the things that you would do anyway without AXtension. So in the end, the impact on your project should be a positive impact instead of a negative impact. So if you're going to do it anyway, and you would include the AXtension solution, it would become more efficient and less challenges, of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. Having worked with you on projects in the past, I can tell it's a fairly seamless experience from my side. And I'm not just saying that just because you're here and you're about to go on holiday either. It generally is an easy experience.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
Not a problem. But I'll open the floor to some questions to see if any come in. But absolutely, I don't want to hold you off your holiday any further. It sounds like you've got a great time planned, but I really appreciate the time you've spent delivering that presentation today and helping to enlighten a few people out there in the world as well.
Well, thanks for having us in this session, and I'll definitely enjoy some nice time off. But definitely feel free to reach out to the AXtension team or scan the QR code, get connected on LinkedIn. We're always looking to see how we can have that first open discussion in potential. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for your time, everyone watching at home. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for joining.
Thank you very much.